Good evening. Welcome to our channeling session. I'm Annette Dion, I'm your channeler. We'll wait a few minutes for people to show up. In the meantime, we can say hello and see how your day went and what's going on. I was just listening to some news and just a little bit of news, and boy, Donald Trump has really got it coming at him from all sides, doesn't he? Good evening. Tonight I will be channeling. I have no idea how long it's going to last. I pretty much rebooted my Wi-Fi, and I'm just going to, I think I'll work with my pendulum a little bit so it doesn't conk out. Here's the deal. Last Wednesday, when my Wi-Fi conked out on me, the moon was void of course. And guess what? The moon is void of course again. It happens frequently. It's not ideal, but let's just, I'm going to clear any interference with my pendulum. Hola! Good to see you. Good to see those who are in the chat and those that are just kind of in the background. Being, what do they call them? Not stalkers. It's the silent viewers in the background. Kimberly's here. So I'm just clearing any possible interference, any potential interference, and the pendulum's kind of going crazy with that. So I guess it needs to release some stuff. So when you're working with the pendulum for clearing, you go in a counterclockwise direction, and the pendulum just knows to clear, so you're never silent. Good evening, or good afternoon, or good tomorrow. Wallflowers, yes, the wallflowers that are out there just pretending they're not there. We can feel you. Somebody wants me to channel Rush Limbaugh. That's interesting. I mean, I titled this channeling the torchbearers, and what I mean by that is the torchbearers of democracy. Like, I was thinking of Susan B. Anthony, and you sent a bunch of energy. Catherine sent a bunch of energy to Ukraine. It is working. 5:20 in Mexico. The watchers, the behind the curtain people are here. We can feel you. So we're going to install protection, divine light, divine guidance. And yeah, thank you for hitting the like button. I'm so bad at reminding people, but I've been better at it recently. So we're installing positivity and channeling for the good of all. Betsy Ross. Yeah, we can turn it to her. For the good of all, for the good of all. We could ask Betsy Ross if the flag will be changing. Prayers for Ukraine. So Ukraine is getting a lot of, they're being attacked quite a lot. I'm just clearing anything that would be interference. Everything's energy. The moon is void of course. So when the moon is void of course, it's almost like a little bit of a, it's a little tiny bit of a feeling of Mercury retrograde. It means it's not in any sign. It's in between. I think it was in Taurus. Yeah, the moon was in Taurus, and it's on its way into Gemini in the wee hours of the morning. Let me check for you. My trusty calendar is right here. The wee hours of the morning at 1:08 a.m. Eastern time, the moon goes into Gemini. So there's always, frequently there's a lag time before the moon goes into the next sign. It's sequential. After Taurus comes Gemini. So we're in that in-between time, but heading into Gemini. Gemini is an air sign, and it's really good for mental activity. So that's what we're doing here. We're doing some mental activity. And it looks like the connection is good. So let's just say a silent prayer that the connection stays good. So while people are showing up, and if you get an astrology calendar, Mother Teresa, that's interesting. She was in India, but we'll see. We'll see who feels right to channel. I have the Llewellyn witches calendar, and I've gotten that calendar for years, and all the information is there, and it's really good for just kind of helping to guide you to what is the optimum time to do certain things. So I didn't make a list. I thought we would just go with, you know, whoever popped into our minds. And I just wanted to mention last Wednesday, for that very short session before I got knocked off my Wi-Fi, I did channel some of from Abraham Lincoln, and then I channeled Ruth Bader Ginsburg. There was just like 8 minutes each, maybe less. And I was struck by that Lincoln mentioned Martha Washington. And I couldn't really understand why. So I did look it up, and I guess Martha Washington was quite the consummate, you know, manager and organizer of things. And she was so heartbroken when her husband passed away. I don't know how old he was when he passed away, but when George Washington passed away, she was so heartbroken that she didn't even attend the funeral. But Martha Washington was pointed to when I was channeling Abe Lincoln, and I was wondering, what do we have that she's written? And I found on Amazon there's don't buy it because there's not very many. I want to buy one. The Marsha Washington letters. Hang on a second. Anyway, she did do some writing, but a lot of what Martha Washington wrote, she burned, and a lot of what she wrote was just kind of lost. But I just want to look that up for you. It's Letters of Martha Washington. Well, I was pretty intrigued by that because I didn't expect Abraham Lincoln to bring up Martha Washington. And my sense about her was she had a lot to say, but women, you know, back in those days did not have a very strong standing in society. Yeah, it's Letters from Martha Washington. So if you are interested in purchasing that, it's over $100 for the book on Amazon, or even thrift books. It's like $120. I was so tempted, and I might get it. We shall see. So she was quite a businesswoman and quite a smart woman. I know that there are a lot of messages coming through for the women. This is a time that we've been sort of pushed back to being second-class citizens. Let's just tell it like it is, right? To not have a right, to have rights taken away from us. I heard somebody who was running for office, I don't remember who it was. Let me see if I can remember. It might have been Bud, somebody with the last name of Bud, who was running for office, a Republican, who actually, he actually said it. The chat was down. He actually said it. It was somebody who's running for office, and I'm pretty sure his last name is Bud. You probably have heard who I'm talking about. And so he's running for office, and he actually said something about, you know, taking away women's right to vote. It's 2022, people. It's 2022. No, his last name is Bud. Somebody might have to look that up. Pretty positive his last name is Bud. Might be Michigan. He's African American. So that's where we are. No, that's in. Are you guys gonna make me look it up? I shouldn't have mentioned it. But I'm just talking about women's rights. Bulldog is New Hampshire, pretty sure. Well, we got a few people here, so let's take a dive in. So because I'm thinking of it, please hit the thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. And thank you for doing that if you have. This is a labor of love. I'm not really set up for monetization. Just saw in the Irish Times, some politicians want to Ask in the polls. Let me see if I gotta figure out how to keep the chat going. Susan B. Anthony, I am planning to do her. Some politicians want to ask in the polls if they should include in their constitution that women's role is in the kitchen and stay at home. I saw a bumper sticker the other day. It was really cute. It said, "A woman's place is in the house," and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was horrified. And then in smaller letters it said, "And in the Senate," and then like, in our government. It was pretty funny. Let's start with Susan B. Anthony, big player in the women's suffragette movement. Ted Budd. Ted Budd said that. Yeah, you win. Where's my bell? My bell has disappeared. Here it is. It's hiding. You're right. It's Ted Budd. Yeah. So, if you're worried about this election, the midterms, you can worry, but use that worry to motivate you. John Gibbs in Michigan. Yeah. A woman's place is in the House and in the Senate. Let's tune in to Susan B. Anthony. All right. If the internet goes down, I don't anticipate that. I shouldn't even say that. I'll have to shut it down, but I don't think it will. It's my psychic prediction. So you can chat amongst yourselves. I'm just going to go into the Akashic records. We can all access that. I just practice it more maybe than people that don't do this work. And here we go. Susan B. Anthony. Initially, Susan B. Anthony has a lot of very assertive energy, almost like in those times I'm seeing her as being perceived as improperly unfeminine, according to the men, and according to all the women, a lot of women too. So Susan B. Anthony, what do you have for us? First off, she's saying, well, it wasn't easy. She's making it very clear. So Susan B. Anthony, she's really emphasizing it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to get the women's right to vote. And she's actually pointing to, Susan B. Anthony is pointing to women in Iran being beaten up. And she's pointing to that and how tragic that is. And Susan B. Anthony is mentioning that is what was happening when women were fighting for the right to vote. She's actually saying they were literally fighting. She's pointing to the, beating up of women in Iran and the beating up of people in the civil rights movement, and that happened to them too. And she's saying to me, you have no idea. It was hard. It was really hard to get the right to vote. She's given me a sense that there was a man with her, so I don't know her history, I don't know. She's given me a sense that she did have a strong man advocating for what she was doing. He just really believed that women needed to have the right to vote. It feels like her partner or her husband. And actually, Susan B. Anthony is pointing to the young, like the girls, the teenagers, and girls even being part of it too, the suffragette movement. And she's showing me a parade, that they had a parade, and she's saying we were shaking when they were marching for women's right to vote. They were shaking. She's saying we were trembling. We were acting brave, but inside we were shaking like a leaf. And then she's telling me, she got the ear of somebody in Congress. And it was the husbands of the women that were working to fight for the women's right to vote. It was getting them on board, the loving husbands. She's saying a lot about the loving husbands. And she's saying, now you have something going on that's similar to that. The men will fight with the women in 2022 to give them back their rights. their rights to privacy and bodily autonomy. Don't forget the men who are allies. And Susan B. Anthony is shaking her head. Some men will never become civilized. She's actually saying that. But point to the good men. And that goes for all people, but she's especially pointing to the men. Like, she's saying, like, there are good men and there are bad men. Which goes for all humans, but where there was so much misogyny then. Misogyny still exists. So let's ask her for her help. She's showing me a megaphone, and she's saying, everybody grab a megaphone. Everybody grab a megaphone and be so loud that it's deafening. Don't forget. And she keeps saying something about a parade. There's something about a parade that we need to parade. I don't know if that's literal, but it seems like it's literal. Be seen. Make sure you're seen. Get a lot of media coverage. We have that going for us now, that we can have coverage. As many images of women standing up for our rights as we can possibly get. She's saying, we didn't have that. We didn't have that luxury, but you have that luxury, so use it. As many images of women fighting to take back our rights, that will do it. That will get others to be in agreement. And it is done. I feel that it is done. I feel that I got what she had to say. So that was interesting. See if you guys are still there. Because the chat goes off if I'm... Okay. So that's interesting. So with Susan B. Anthony, what I really got was she almost had a manliness about her, and it felt like she was really strong. Susan B. Anthony felt really like physically strong. Like maybe she worked in the fields a lot or did a lot of physical labor. I'm seeing she was very physically strong, and that made her feel a little bit more courageous, because she wasn't like a real petite person. But I was struck by her really pointing to a couple of things, and one was get the men to be your allies. Get the men to be our allies. Oh, Sherry Beasley's running against Bud. Support her in North Carolina. Sherry Beasley, support her. Some of these candidates are starting to gain in the polls. Some of these Democrats are starting to gain. Do not go back to sleep. They're starting to gain. So let's send them a lot of positive energy as they start to gain. Visualize them, moving up in the numbers in the polls. So Susan B. Anthony, I'm just sort of recapping what I remember she said. It's being seen, marching in the streets, protesting, and that some of the women were beaten too. Oh, the women's march is coming up. That's interesting. So we need to get lots and lots of images of that. Can you let us know when that is? Stay woke. Stay woke. None of this anti-woke stuff. That's awful. Yeah, if you know when the women's march is, I wasn't aware of it. But it seems like I heard something about October. Okay, so next, I feel like I want to go to Benjamin Franklin. So, let's see what Ben has to say. Benjamin Franklin. I get this sort of amused, I feel like he has a little amused smile. Benjamin Franklin. If you can, in the chat, just maybe post his name in case people are just jumping on. Benjamin Franklin. He's got that little smirk on his face. I have this feeling about Ben Franklin that he was always cracking jokes. I don't know. I didn't know that about him. Whimsical. He's giving me the word whimsical. Benjamin Franklin was very whimsical. And very, very quick quick wit. He had a quick wit. He always had a comeback. Ben Franklin seems happy that we invited him to be with us. And he keeps pointing to the post office. That's great. He's pointing to the Pony Express and the way he's saying the way that we have messaging now, that was their messaging was those Pony Express. It was people were just as absorbed in what was coming towards them with news and information. It's human nature. He said it's human nature to want to receive information. And he's saying, and that's where we've gone astray. It's because it's human nature to crave information. And with the Postal Service, when he initiated that, when he got all that going, the United States Postal Service, it was like that. He's saying the mail was everything. The mail was all we had. So let's ask Ben Franklin on that topic about Louis DeJoy. Wow. Ben Franklin is saying about Louis DeJoy, he's saying, we had some really awful people in my day, but not that bad. And he's pointing to because most people believed in God. And most people would not be that criminal during those times that Ben Franklin lived. So let's ask Ben Franklin about our democracy. He's literally saying it's up to all of you. He's saying that, on the other side, they have been watching closely, and we have free will. Ben Franklin is saying, you have free will. We're watching closely. We help you when you ask. And he's saying, ask more of us to help you to save democracy, and we'll be there. We're with you. And Ben Franklin is pointing to the importance of friendships. Ben Franklin is pointing to that there were many friends, people of the same mind, that came together and talked about they talked about things and analyzed things in depth. And we need to have friends like that. Discussions. They would problem solve together. And that's what the Democrats do now in current day. Ben Franklin has given me the sense that he wasn't very faithful. Now, I don't know if he was married. Most people were married. But he had some guilt about that. He wasn't very faithful. But then when he crossed over, all was well. And he's saying something about the first postage stamp, that he had something to do with that. I don't know if we would have a record of that. And he's definitely pointing to more of us need to go to museums and learn our history. And now he's pointing to Doug Mastriano. And he's saying that if somebody like that had been around during those times, he's saying we had punishments for those types of people. We had punishments. What did they do, Ben? He's saying that he'd be jailed. Somebody like a Mastriano in Ben Franklin's time would have been thrown in prison for treason. Just because of the way he speaks. Oh no, and more, and more. So Ben Franklin is pointing to January 6, 2021, and he's saying that's what we were afraid of. And he's giving me a sense of people locking arms and just, for democracy, locking arms, remembering, visualizing us as locking arms and being all in this together like a chain. We are in this together. And know that, and we will save democracy. He's actually saying, Ben Franklin is saying, it will not be easy, but we will succeed. And with that, Ben Franklin feels like he's saying thank you for having him. So thank you, Ben. That was Ben. I have to go back to this video later and see what people said because it's interesting to me. I don't remember much of it. So that's why I'm recapping. So Ben Franklin seemed very aware of the insurrection, and he said that's what we were afraid of. They were afraid of that. And it felt like they lived with that. Well, yeah, they did. It felt like they lived with that threat looming all the time, the threat of an insurrection type thing. Now I have to go back to my American history and look at dates. So, let's see. Let's see what you all have to say. Oh, Ben Franklin partied a lot, and yeah, he wasn't faithful. The Women's March. Wait a minute. It was the 8th? Oh, well, that doesn't make any sense if the Women's March was the 8th, because I didn't know about it. Are you sure? Did anybody hear about a Women's March on October 8th? Where did you get that information, Susan? DeJoy will be gone. He's on his way out. I've written 3 letters to the Board of Governors, at least 3. Nobody heard about a Women's March on October 8th. I'm like, oh, you're welcome, thank you. Last year there was a Women's March on October 8th. Is that what you're talking about? Okay, so Susan B. Anthony, Ben Franklin. I just, what popped in is Alexander Hamilton. For that letter? What letter? The letter that I sent a template that I wrote to the Board of Governors of the Post Office. Yeah, oh yeah, speaking of the women of Iran, that was interesting. Susan B. Anthony was pointing to that and saying similar things were happening when the women were... Yeah, but wasn't that last year? Anyway, so Susan B. Anthony was pointing to the women of Iran being beaten up. It's really bad what's happening there. And that similar things were happening when they were fighting for women's right to vote. Alexander Hamilton. Let's see what Alexander Hamilton has to say. Oh, he knows about gun violence. It's the first thing he's given me. Alexander Hamilton's given me the sense that, death is just a passageway, but, that gun violence thing has always been a thing. Not like it is now, but. So when Alexander Hamilton crossed over, he's given me the word bereft. His soul was bereft. Like it never should have gone that far with Burr, who shot him dead. Getting the sense that when he was shot dead, Burr was very drunk. He was devastated, and so that's how Alexander Hamilton, on the other side, came to a sense of peace about it, because he realized that it was it was kind of not intended. Alexander Hamilton, for some reason, he keeps pointing to the guns, and he's saying the guns, during that time, a lot of people died in stupid gun incidents like that. So he's pointing to gun violence. Alexander Hamilton is talking about, he sees there are too many guns. He's saying disarm the masses. Alexander Hamilton is saying disarm the masses. That must happen. He's saying that must occur. That's a must. In order to save our democracy, especially to ensure that we save our democracy, we must start the disarmament process. So I'm going to ask Alexander if he thinks we can do it. He's saying, you will. It'll happen. So I'm asking Alexander Hamilton about Joe Biden and all that, and what he's saying is like, for our president right now, it feels like, you know, those pictures you see of somebody like Axis, like, or Atlas with the whole world, carrying the whole world like a big giant humongous boulder. That's what it feels like for Joe Biden. And Alexander Hamilton is saying they were very, very pious and religious people back in his day, and they would have all been at church praying for a president that was under that much pressure. He's saying that's what we did for George Washington. We prayed for him. He seems very proud of that. So Alexander Hamilton is pointing to our Constitution, and he's saying you need to rewrite that. That's interesting. It's just in no uncertain terms, just you need to rewrite it to your benefit. He's saying to your benefit, so that you all have the benefits of the Constitution, because we did it to benefit the future generations. He's saying every single article in the Constitution, every single one, had that in mind for the benefit of all peoples. And he's given me a sense that that is what will win. What's for the benefit of all peoples is what will win. If we don't drop the ball, if we don't think that we can't do it, if we don't think that, if we don't entertain thoughts of failure, Alexander Hamilton is saying, do not entertain thoughts of failure. Of course they're there, but we didn't listen to them. We didn't listen to thoughts of failure. We debated them, but we didn't believe in failure. And you do the same. That's what he's saying. And you do the same. Don't believe in failure. You do the same. Don't believe in failure. Of course you have the thoughts, but don't believe in failure. That's what we had to do. We were up against the wall. And Alexander Hamilton has given me a sense that he incarnated. So I'm going to ask him who Lin-Manuel Miranda is. He's like, Lin-Manuel was there and during my time. Was he you? I don't feel like it was Alexander Hamilton, but I feel like the composer of Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda, was there during those times. And he's given me a sense that he was actually a female who was in the know, who was always paying attention to what was going on. He's saying much like Martha Washington did. Always in the know. Was he? Lynn might have been Martha Washington. I'm getting an affirmative on that. That's interesting. And he's saying, thank you for visiting with us today. He's saying that to me. He's giving me a sense he'll come back whenever we want to talk to him. Thank you. Thank you. Really, I'm getting a really caring, like these men, like Ben Franklin and Alexander Hamilton, those two just feel like the overwhelming sense of caring, like just caring, really, they just really care. You know, I think that's important for us to you know, inject that element into our politics, to really care about our country. So, thank you for wielding the wrench, you wrench wielders. Yeah, I was getting a sense, just that caring. Yeah. Let's see what else we have going on here in the chat. Lin-Manuel Miranda was probably no, I didn't No, I didn't feel like he was Raymond Burr. I didn't get that at all. I felt like Lin-Manuel was a female. I feel I can test it with the pendulum. I definitely don't feel like he was Burr. Yeah, somebody's putting. Yeah, I was talking about somebody in current day politics. If you just joined us, in current day politics, somebody with the last name of Budd is against women voting. Can believe that? I can't believe it. Anyway, well, maybe I can. Was Lin-Manuel Miranda a female? I get that he was a female in that lifetime. Was his soul Martha Washington? I'm getting an affirmative. I think Lynn was Martha Washington. I think that was his soul. Aaron Burr. Yeah. It's easy to mix up names. Yeah, very interesting. It's fun to do these channeling. Channelings. I just don't know what's gonna come up. So somebody put up there. Well, you can't prove past lifetimes, so it's just a matter of whether it resonates with you. I thought Lin Miranda might have been Alexander Hamilton, but I didn't get that from him this time when I channeled just now. Yeah, I feel like he was a female. Okay, somebody had put somebody's name up there that I had planned to do, and now I'm forgetting who it was. Madeleine Albright. Let's go to Madeleine Albright. Okay. Madeleine Albright. She was a Secretary of State. Okay. Let's find Madeleine Albright. She's very bright. I see her sparkling eyes. So her last name suited her. Albright. And she was very bright. She's pointing to Mika on Morning Joe. I guess they were friends. And Madeleine Albright wanted more women to have opportunities because Madeleine knew a lot of very, very bright women. That was something that weighed heavily on her heart. Was Madeleine and all her travels and everything. She met so many bright women, and in the United States, who simply didn't have the opportunities. And I don't know if she, in her lifetime, I personally don't know if she was working to get women to be able to get the education, to make education accessible, but she definitely is showing me that she recognized how much great talent was going to waste because of women being treated like second-class citizens. And Madeleine Albright saw that there was a battle going on with this Roe Wade decision. She saw it way back. She's just showing me that the whole women's rights and abortion rights, it never really was secure. It was on shaky ground the whole time. Codify it. Madeleine Albright is really wanting us to fight for that. And Madeleine Albright is telling me that the Democrats will win in the midterms. That's what she's seeing. That's what she's telling me. They'll win, and it's misogyny that's making people fight. Wow. And she's saying, look at Donald Trump. Isn't that misogyny? Wow. So she's making the connection with Donald Trump being a misogynist. To us, democracy being threatened. She's making a connection between those two things. Misogyny is fear of women. She saw that all the time. She said, I went through it. And she's saying, me and RBG went through it. And we fought it. And we fought back. And we stood our ground. And that's how we got to be where we were. But Madeleine Albright is showing me that she understood that because she could afford education, she got to be where she got to be. And it's a sin that bright people don't have access to education, and we need to fix that. She's saying she was behind Joe Biden for giving student loan debt for people that were really struggling. She was really behind that. And she's saying abolish inhumanity, inhumane, profane politics. Banish it. She will help us. But she's given me a strong sense. This is the women's election. This is the women's midterms. And to think of it as the females' election. Support the females. She's really pointing to the females. We were just talking about Sherry Beasley and Val Demings. And support the good, strong women. And the ones that are fighting our democracy, that want autocracy, are not, they're not for the women. We have this only if we believe it. She's saying we win only if we believe it. The women win only if they believe we will win. If we all are together believing we will win, the women will win. This is the women's midterms. In no uncertain terms. Madeleine Albright is making it very clear. This election is for the women. Get the message out that this election is for the women. And everything, she's saying, a rising tide lifts all ships. Everything will get better from that point. Be proud to stand up. Stand proud. Stand strong. That's the only way to be. I'm having a sense of her partner, her husband, her being close to him, and that's the second time this has come up. To be, men and women standing together as a strong unit. She's not just saying husband and wife, men and women helping one another. That's the path to victory. Thank you, Madeleine. Wow, that's the second time I got that. That's the second time I got that. It really seems like what's being pointed to is we need the men to help. We need the men to help. Yes, I channeled FDR before. Let's see. Where there will be no baby and the women will die. A lot of women will die. Yeah, Madeleine's pretty cool, huh? Yeah, I mean, she just felt really adamant about that, and so did Susan B. Anthony. She was really like, the men will help, the men helping will make all the difference. Please hit the thumbs up. I don't know, it helps me somehow. Well, I was kind of sticking with the United States. Yes, I did channel Eleanor Roosevelt. Come on, Warren, you were there. That was last... Oh, come on, you guys, be nice. I don't know what he said. I just saw someone got timed out. Yeah, I did. The last time. Remember? It was in July. I know, it was a while ago. We can channel Eleanor Roosevelt. Somebody asked if I could channel, yeah, Madeleine was right there. She was really, it's okay, I don't expect you to remember what I did. You don't have a bad memory, Warren. Madeleine Albright was right there. She was bright. She had the right, I'm getting the sense that Madeleine Albright immediately pointed to Mika, what's her last name? It's like a Polish last name. Brzezinski, right? On Morning Joe, Joe Scarborough's wife. She pointed right to Mika. She might have had something to do with the Mika has like a 50 and older women who've made great achievements. Okay. I'm just asking the guides, who next? Let's go to Emily Dickinson. I don't know a lot about Emily Dickinson. I did Martin Luther King. Check back on the July video. I did two. Once again, Corey was out of town in July, and I did two channelings. One was on the 4th of July, so that wasn't when Corey was out of town. For anybody who hasn't been here before, on Bridge Cape Ann, Corey and I have a show called The Psychic and the Sidekick. He's my friend. We live in the same town. And usually that's what we do on Wednesday nights. Okay, so Emily Dickinson. I mean, immediately I'm getting a sense of just feeling very solitary and very alone. So let's go to Emily Dickinson. Yeah, Emily Dickinson is saying it's a lonely poet. It's lonely living as a poet. And she's actually... What's funny about that to me is I'm kind of like, I'm a songwriter, so I'm a poet, and she's looking at me like that I would understand that. And it's true, I do understand that. Emily Dickinson. She's actually saying that her poetry was the way that she could have a voice. And Emily Dickinson is pointing to that she was very much told women should not be heard. So I don't know her history, but she definitely is showing me that the proper way for a woman to be was to be quiet. And so she made the most of it. That's what she's saying. And she was surprised. Emily Dickinson is showing me that she was very surprised to learn that her poetry outlived her and still does to this day. And there's a college in Amherst in Massachusetts that seems to have a segment devoted to her work, so I'll have to look into that. And it makes her very proud, and she was there when it was opened or dedicated. Emily Dickinson seems very concerned that we have lost our poetry, and she's pointing to the young poet who spoke at the inauguration. I think her name might have been Amanda. And Emily Dickinson is pointing to more of that will save us. More of that reflective writing, and that's what she's pointing to that she did, was reflective poetry. And she's given me a sense that there was somebody in her life, a man, who was very gentle and very kind to her, and that made all the difference. I'm getting a sense that she wasn't partnered, but I don't know that for sure. But she's giving me a sense of a relative, feels like a brother or a cousin or somebody who was very gentle with her and appreciated her works. She's saying it's very important to have people appreciate your works, because she's showing me that she had struggles with like suicidal ideation. And that's what made the difference, was somebody who showed that her caring about her works and her creations. Don't be afraid to create. It was her lifeblood. She's saying it was her lifeblood. And she wanted for it to continue, but she didn't expect her work to continue, but it did. And it makes her very happy. It's like being It's like being limitless. So Emily Dickinson is pointing to that she has some poetry about about our mortality, and that we would find it interesting, and we would be less afraid of those types of topics if we read more poetry about them. Life is eternal. Thank you. I really could see the environment that she lived in. I could see. Now, I don't know. I mean, I really have to go back and read Emily Dickinson's poetry. I don't know very much about her life, but I do have this sense that she spent a lot of her life in like one room, where she was sort of relegated. I get the sense she was kind of relegated to that room, and she made that room her friend. So interesting. Is anybody, it's so interesting to me too, is anybody familiar with her work? Oh, somebody even has, oh, Coretta Scott King, yeah, I'll do that, and Schindler, oh, that would be interesting. So there's Emily Dickinson. It does inspire me to go read her poetry. John McCain, that's a good one. Yeah, Emily Dickinson was in Amherst, and I don't know if I've been to where she lived. I don't know if it's a museum. It probably is. Let's visit with John McCain. Let's visit with John McCain. He's happy. I see John McCain smiling, a great big smile, and the first thing he's saying is, "Boy, did they make a big to-do around my funeral." I just have this image of them carrying his casket up all these steps. I don't remember where it was, at the Capitol. Yeah. John McCain, he's a very humble man, because he's kind of giving me this sense, I didn't need all that. So I'm wondering if he didn't want all that and they just went ahead and did it anyway. John McCain, what do you think about what's going on in Arizona right now? As much as he doesn't like what Kyrsten Sinema is doing, he's actually given me the sense that as much as we don't like her, it was good, it's been good that she's been there like a wedge in things for some reason. I'm not sure why. He's saying, don't get me wrong, I don't approve of how she behaves. But she has, Kyrsten Sinema has a role, and it's almost like a stopgap kind of a role. So maybe it's just that she's a Democrat. I'm asking John McCain right now about Carrie Lake. He's giving me a sense that she'll fail. He's giving me a sense that she's already a failure and that she's not well mentally. Carrie Lake is not well mentally. And John McCain has given me the sense that she always is in front of the mirror. Which is, I think he's showing me that she's a narcissist. That makes sense. He's actually showing me that Carrie Lake and Donald Trump were together in a past lifetime. That's weird. So she has this like fixation with him that goes back to a lifetime when she was infatuated with him in a past lifetime. Carrie Lake and Donald Trump she was in love with him in a past lifetime, but I get a sense that he was unreachable. I get the sense this is funny. John McCain is showing me that Carrie Lake and Donald Trump had an illicit love affair in a past life. Weird. He's laughing that I'm saying it's weird. He's going, well, I can't really explain these things. He's over on the other side and he couldn't explain it all because it's not, we wouldn't understand it. The spiritual world. He is funny. John McCain's like, I guess you could say you had to be there. But you don't want to be here yet. Let's ask him about our country. John McCain is saying we have to consider ourselves to be like soldiers. We have to consider ourselves to be like soldiers, and John McCain is pointing to like soldiers take an oath to defend and protect our Constitution. John McCain is giving me the message that the soldier-like mentality of we are here to protect and defend our Constitution. We all need to take an oath like that within ourselves. And when we do that, he's giving me a sense that when we do that, things will shift. He's saying, tell your friends. We have to consider ourselves, the citizens of the United States, as taking an oath to defend and protect our Constitution. So help us God, like he did. And John McCain is pointing to the seriousness of our situation in the United States right now, that it's very serious. It's not something to brush off. He's seen fascism. In his lifetime here, he saw the worst of it, obviously, as a prisoner of war. And John McCain is just saying this, you don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want that. As if people in the United States have no idea what's at risk here. And he's giving me the sense he will help us. He can help us more if we're on board with we promise to protect and defend our democracy as individuals, as if we are soldiers. And then he's giving me this sort of like a hand wave, like, it is done. So his message, that was his message. It is done. It is done. Real strong. Strong, John McCain's energy, real strong, stoic. That's the word I would say. Stoic, but really kind of like Ben Franklin had this wit about him. John McCain, it feels like he cracked a lot of jokes. Let's see. Are you guys talking about Mussolini? And yeah, I mean, have you been with us when my last video, I held up a picture of Mussolini and it looks just like Trump. So then people were like, take it down, we don't want to look at it anymore. Hello, one of the wallflowers came out to play. Welcome. Yeah, it was a short transition period. Now, I got that Carrie Lake in her past lifetime had an affair with Donald Trump. It's such an interesting job that I do. Really fascinating. So Schindler, that was overseas. So I mean, we can talk about Schindler, I guess, but right now we're just kind of doing people in America. I see several requests for Coretta Scott King, so we're going to do that. I have channeled Martin Luther King. I might do that again tonight. Coretta Scott King. I feel her, what a loving presence. I feel her before I even close my eyes. Coretta Scott King. I'm getting a sense about Coretta King that she really wants to be here. She's got something to say. When I look at Coretta Scott King, I just see beauty. And I'm not even remembering exactly what she looked like in her life, but I just see, she almost has this, in life, she had this otherworldly quality about her. She's saying she did carry the torch for her husband. And Coretta Scott King is pointing to somebody who's here now, who she did pass the torch to. And she's not referring to her children so much as, they are doing good work, but she's not pointing to them so much as somebody who's actually in a position of leadership. Who would that be? I do see Barack Obama as being one of the people that she is guiding and guided in her lifetime. Yeah, she's pointing to somebody that she worked with on the earthly plane. I'm not sure who it is. to fight for, I'm seeing Stacey Abrams. She's helping Stacey Abrams. And Coretta Scott King is saying she's helping Stacey Abrams. And if Stacey Abrams was into this kind of channeling thing, Stacey would kind of know it. But I get the sense about Stacey Abrams, like, I don't have time for all that. Which is understandable. But Coretta Scott King is showing me that she's helping Stacey Abrams. She just keeps pointing to Stacey Abrams. And she's saying Stacey Abrams is going to surprise everybody. She's going to come out ahead. She's going to start coming out ahead. I'm seeing something coming out about Brian Kemp. Ooh, it's interesting. Coretta Scott King is showing me Brian Kemp is going to be caught cheating. Trying to cheat before the midterms. Trying to cheat before the elections. He's going to be caught. And Coretta Scott King is showing me that Kemp is in a kind of a network of law enforcement that are all corrupt. She's saying, pray for Stacey Abrams. Pray for the corruption to be exposed. Coretta Scott King was a praying woman. Of course, she was married to a reverend. She's with Martin Luther, and they're both helping. She's saying they're both helping us. They're helping to expose the gerrymandering and the voter suppression. And Coretta Scott King is saying what you're in now is not democracy. In no uncertain terms, what you're in now is not democracy. It's an in-between democracy and autocracy. That's telling it like it is. We're standing in the middle of the bridge between democracy and autocracy. It's clear as can be. And they're all saying, Coretta Scott King is saying it too, we will help you if you are working at it. And that's how she's able to help Stacey Abrams. We can turn this around to be democracy for all. And she's saying, listen to what John McCain said. Soldiers for democracy. She's with her children a lot. She's helping them and guiding them. They miss her so much. She's saying that her children are still grieving losing their mom. And she's kind of going, oh, if only they knew that I'm with them all the time. And she's saying one of her grandchildren, I don't know how many grandchildren that she had, but she's saying one of her grandchildren is going to be a kind of a mover and a shaker on the political front. She's given me the sense that the African American population will get their rights back. The blacks will win. That's what she's saying. Oh, and she's helping Mandela Barnes too. I do see that. I do see that. She's kind of giving me a sense that she sort of wishes these people believed that they're being guided by those who have passed before, because it would be better for them, but, you know, they're busy doing their campaigning. The other thing that Coretta Scott King is showing me is that a lot of politicians believe in the spirit world helping, but they can't go public with that. And she's pointing to Barack Obama a lot, and she's showing me that Barack Obama believed that he was guided by higher power. And there are others that believe they're being guided by a higher power. She's pointing to Raphael Warnock, of course. Oh, and she's showing me, Raphael Warnock, she's showing me, she's got light all around him. Raphael Warnock is surrounded by a troop of angels. It's incredible. And she's just showing me that he doesn't have any, you know, he's not like stressing about the political race. And she's actually saying, Herschel Walker, he's a bad man. He's a misogynist too. That's coming up a lot. The misogyny has been coming up a lot. Gentle is power. She's saying, don't forget that the feminine is gentle power, but there's nothing gentle about it and how powerful it is. It's very impactful. Nonviolent, protest. Keep the nonviolent protests going. Don't stop that. That's the biggest tool we have right now. She's so loving. She's so loving. It's just like she's the sweet grandma type. Just like, I just feel like she's giving us all a hug. She's saying, thank the person who said to channel me. Okay, thanks. Thank you. That was beautiful. What a beautiful energy. Coretta Scott King has got beautiful energy. I mean, I just feel like if you were around her in life when she was here, you would get in her presence and just feel like everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Really beautiful. Yeah, so remember what she said. I'll go back and listen to what was said. It feels like Coretta Scott King is really working in Alabama, really working hard. I mean in Georgia, not Alabama. Really working hard. I'm kind of feeling like John Lewis can be next. I think John Lewis would have some stuff to say. So I will check your comments in case I missed anything. Walker is an embarrassment to men, that's for sure. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up. It's much appreciated. Yeah, so the Kings are with us. Martin Luther and Coretta Scott King definitely are with us. And I just get this really strong sense that we need to remember that they're with us. We need to not ignore that. It's like having the tools right in front of us and never, needing to hang a painting and, having a nail and a hammer and just sitting there and not hanging it, Yeah, I don't know a lot about Coretta Scott King's life and who she was in life. I just don't know a lot about her life. But yeah, what a presence. What a beautiful, beautiful soul. What other beautiful souls? So I'm kind of going with the American people, but I can segue. You're back? Where'd you go? Did you leave? It's hard to tell that you left. People are funny. Yes, please hit the thumbs up. Much appreciated. Okay. Who next? I want to talk to John Lennon. Well, then we'll go to John Lewis. We'll do two Johns. You're washing dishes? Thanks for letting us know. Thanks for filling us in. Is anybody taking a shower? They want to tell us about it. I'm just kidding. A little comic relief. Okay. I want to talk to John Lennon. So let's do that, and then we'll do the two. Oh, she was a vegan. Oh, well, she probably felt pretty good. It's a very energizing way to eat. You'll let us know. You'll let us know what you're doing. When you take a break, you'll let us know. President Obama, let's see. So John Lennon, I mean, I know he wasn't American, but... Channel Aaron Burr. What did I say? I said in the tub. I'm glad you're back. I'm in my psychic brain, so the short-term memory kind of sometimes cuts out. Aaron Burr. I did. Alexander Hamilton told me that Burr was drunk. He was inebriated when he shot him. Elijah Cummings. Let's do both of them. So the theme for the evening is mostly people that fought for democracy. Ivana Trump. Okay. So I didn't understand that comment. John Lennon first. Even though he's English, he lived in New York, and he really did fight for human rights. John Lennon's I'm just seeing him, and he's saying New York City was his most favorite place in the world. I don't know what it was. He's like, it was like a heartbeat. That makes sense. John Lennon's telling me New York City was his favorite place in the whole wide world, and I'm just kind of getting more about that, and he's saying it's because of there was a heartbeat. It has a heartbeat. And John Lennon kind of considered New York City as more of the heartbeat of America than Washington, D.C., because it's a melting pot. So John Lennon is pointing to America being a melting pot, being kind of its trademark. And wow, and he's pointing to that being the most important thing for us to hold on to, is it being a place for diversity. And so John Lennon is pointing to that is a very, very, very big challenge for a country to hold that up. Everybody can be who they want to be here. But it's worth it. Remember, imagine all the people living life in peace. So John Lennon's given me this sense that Yoko was ready to come home to be with him. I'm not sure how old she is now. But I have this sense that she's kind of finishing up here on the earthly plane. And Yoko's making peace with that her time, it's getting closer and closer, like all of us. John Lennon is pointing to look up some of what Yoko's works are. Some of the lyrics he's saying that didn't get a lot of attention. He's trying to nudge his son Julian into making more music, but he's not listening. He gets in his head too much. He's saying about Julian. Okay, so John, what do you have to say about how we can save this country? He's really pointing to the music. Gotta bring the music back. Gotta bring the music back. Music unites. Music unites. You have to sing the same song. Music unites. It's like he's just shaking his head at how much people have forgotten that. Or maybe they don't know. He's shrugging his shoulders. Maybe they just don't know. John Lennon, what can you give us? What words of wisdom do you have for us? It's a long road to hoe, but it's worth it. And he's given me a sense that the Beatles could have worked it out. They didn't have to break up, but they didn't have the staying power. They didn't have the sense of, just keeping on, keeping on. But it's all good. It's all as it was supposed to be. And he's pointing to that song, Don't Worry, Be Happy by Bobby McFerrin. Like to think of that. Don't worry, be happy. Songs can stick with you like that. That's what he's saying. Songs can stick to you like that. Thank you, John. Thank you, John Lennon. That was sweet. Music unites. Music unites. We need to be singing the same song. Very good. He's saying, remember that Bobby McFerrin song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. I like it. I just spoke like John a little bit. That's right. It kind of came out that way. Power to the people. I think it's interesting that he made Thurgood Marshall. I want to stick with people names that most people know. John Lennon gave me the sense that, because he said, as far as democracy, it's a long road to hoe. In other words, we have to keep hoeing it. We have to keep working it. But about the Beatles, he was just giving me the sense that they could have worked it out. Like that song, We Can Work It Out. They should have listened to that song. So they should have like practiced what they were preaching. Eisenhower? Maybe. It drove you nuts. Yeah. Oh, did Paul McCartney say that about the Beatles? I didn't know he said that. That's interesting because I got a really strong sense from John Lennon's spirit that they totally should have worked it out. And that just made me think of that song, We Can Work It Out, right? So interesting. Just so you all know, to do these channelings was totally like off the cuff. Like, yeah, we're doing John Lewis next. Totally off the cuff because on the 4th of July, I was like, I'd really like to tap into the Founding Fathers, and because it's what I do anyway, like I do quite a bit of mediumship, even though I don't say that first and foremost, that I'm a medium, and I thought, well, I probably can tap in because I do mediumship, so it's kind of a new thing. I need a more comfortable chair. Let's see. No, it doesn't wake me out. John Lewis. If you love what you do, you're never waked out by it. And if you get tired, it's a good tired. I'm a meditator. If you meditate, you don't really get tired. Hi, somebody's just joining us. Hello. John Lewis. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe. That's all I need from you. I'm not asking for money. And book a reading, AnnetteDion7@gmail.com. Or go to my website, psychicannette.com. You have to type in the .com part. It's new and I'm getting people to go to my website now. So we're going to, thank you, Annalie. Thank you, all the wrench wielders. Much appreciated. I call you the wrench people. It's a compliment. Let's talk to John Lewis. John Lewis feels right here. John Lewis is very polite and he was just kind of waiting his turn. Voting rights. He's saying voting rights. John Lewis is, I get this feeling from him that he's talking to people that aren't listening. Like who, John Lewis? He's told me this before. He wants Barack Obama to say more. And he seems to be afraid. Well, can we help Barack Obama to be more courageous? Well, John Lewis has given me this sense that he wants Barack Obama to say more. But Michelle gets nervous about all the death threats. And he's given me the sense that Michelle Obama, it's like she has him on a leash and she reels him in because she's afraid because of all the death threats and the crazies out there. And John Lewis is like, I can understand that, but he could still do more. Well, will he? John Lewis has given me the sense that when Biden needs the support, that's when Obama, will say more. It was really great when they were at the White House unveiling the portraits. John Lewis is saying he was present. He was present when they were unveiling the portraits at the White House of Barack and Michelle Obama. He's saying that was a nice gathering. It was the way it used to be, and it was a nice gathering. He enjoyed being a presence there. So John Lewis, what can we do to save our democracy? He's giving me a sense that it's going to be, things are going to happen that are going to make us sort of like be a little bit freaked out. But don't dwell on the little scary things that happen. He's saying don't dwell on the little scary things that happen. They'll seem big. But what he had to do fighting for civil rights was know that there would be difficulty, but that can't stop us. So let's not make any difficulties that we see make us hide ourselves. That's not the way to get where you need to be. He's really proud of the poll workers. John Lewis is really proud. He's like, if you want to truly serve your country, be a poll worker. Really pointing to that so strongly. He too has given me a sense that he's helping Stacey Abrams and Raphael Warnock. So what's interesting is it'll be interesting to watch and see what happens with them. For some reason, he's showing me paper ballots as, you know, like the people being more hands-on and involved. He's showing me that he feels the paper ballots are the safest way to go. He too has given me a sense that the Democrats will take it in the midterms. And I'm getting a sense that it's going to be like by the skin of our teeth, but that we will save our democracy. But it will be like we dodged, kind of dodged a bullet, so to speak. And then we will be motivated from that win to really work hard to save democracy. And he's just pointing to Ukraine, and Ukraine's going to win. Just going across the ocean, Ukraine will win. And don't let the Republicans stop funding for Ukraine, because that democracy is very, very important there. You don't want to let, just like Ukraine can't let Putin in, they have to fight back. Same concept. We can't let it in either. We can't let dictatorship and autocracy, we can't let it in. John Lewis gave me a sense a while back that Donald J. Trump had said something horrible to him, like called him an ape or something like that, and it was really bad. He thought he had gotten past that in his life, John Lewis, and it was really bad. Really bad. That's why he didn't want him at his funeral. And John Lewis is just saying, you gotta fight that, you gotta fight that, you gotta fight that. We're all equals. He's given me a sense too that most people in America know that and feel that, and they would not be awful like what we've seen. Saying darkness has always been there. We've always had to fight back. But he's saying you will win. We will win. Thank you, John Lewis. So that was John Lennon, John Lewis, and then who else did I say? It's two Johns and a something else. Ben Franklin was on. Oh, he was? That's interesting. I did not know that. Thank you for that. Oh, Roxanne's in Massachusetts. We even have weekends early voting, and I didn't even know that. Early voting started in Ohio. Tim Ryan. It was Elijah Cummings. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay, because I got that sense when I channeled John Lewis before in July. I got that before too, that I don't think many people knew, but people did know that Donald Trump looked at John Lewis and he called him, I got that he called him like a monkey or an ape. He's such a heinous human being. Such a heinous human being. Okay, Elijah Cummings. Elijah Cummings is a spirit guide to Michael Cohen. I got it right off the bat. Elijah Cummings is working through Michael Cohen. What he said to Michael Cohen had a huge influence. And he's proud of him. He's really proud of him. So Elijah Cummings is pointing to Michael Cohen and saying that man will make a difference. And like he's fully repented for working for Donald Trump. He's paid his dues. Mea culpa is appropriately named. Elijah Cummings is showing that he's very concerned about the children. He must have had a lot of grandchildren too. He's very concerned about the children. And he's showing me like later in life, he had a lot of health problems. He's saying, I probably shouldn't even have lived as long as I did. But I had a job to do. When you have a job to do, that alone keeps you here. Now he's pointing to Joe Biden. Okay, so he's pointing to the children, the little children, and Joe Biden wanting to help the little children, and Elijah Cummings being there to help him. But he's pointing to the minorities and the children and how much they're not being taken care of. And we need to do something about that. We really do. We have to take care of our children. He's showing me an educational facility that he has his name on or something, or that's going to be dedicated to him if it hasn't already. I don't know about it, but he's pointing to education as being the thing that will save our country. He too saw a lot of bright minds that just didn't have like the so-called luxury of education. It shouldn't be a luxury, it should be a necessity. Yeah, education is the backbone of society. Elijah Cummings is pointing to the people that believe the big lie. If they knew what they were doing, they would stop. It's really bad karma for them. It's really not good for them. And if they see the evil of their ways, they'll turn, but some are so stubborn. Love one another. Elijah Cummings always looked for the spark. He always looked for the spark in each and every human being. And he's saying it would do us well to practice that. To not look at behaviors, to look for the spark. And he practiced that. He did his best to do that. And he said after a while you get really good at it. And about our democracy, he's saying, you've got this. You've got this. Keep doing what you're doing. He's very proud. He's giving me a big smile. And he's there with John Lewis, and they're helping us. Thank you. At the end there, he showed me Jimmy Carter. So I'm feeling like he had a message about Jimmy Carter. I'm getting a sense that this might be, Jimmy Carter's last rotation around the sun. You know what I mean? Maybe they were friends. I don't know. Probably, right? Same sort of generation. What are you guys up to? I'm going to get a cough drop because I keep clearing my throat. I get, that was, it was Elijah Cummings. It was Elijah Cummings that kind of read Michael Cohen, the riot act. Remember that? Yeah. Oh, okay. So there is an education center. Where is it? Yeah, Michael Cohen. Yeah, Elijah Cummings gave me the sense that Michael Cohen will make a big difference. Huge difference. Where's that? I didn't know there was an educational type center for it's in Baltimore. It's fascinating what you learn when you channel people. Cool. I want to find out more about that. Who else is on the list? I forgot who else we were going to channel. Franklin Roosevelt. Yeah, what a genuinely good soul. When Elijah Cummings passed, I got a very strong sense, and I do get this about a lot of people. They can do more good from the other side. Because Elijah Cummings was giving me the strong sense that he was really struggling with his health physically, and that it was his dedication to his work, his devotion to his work. Yeah, Jimmy Carter's like 96 now. Look at Warren, he's giving me a list. Give me a list of people. Yeah, you know, when you are really dedicated to the work that you do, your soul will hang around. Your soul will hang on to the body and hang around for as long as possible. Right? Oh, Saturday is... I had to change the time. Little commercial break on Saturday. The whole month of October, I've had a series on Saturday, and it's called the Magical Saturdays in October series. So this week, I'm seeing your suggestions. I'll channel a few more. So this week's Saturday class, it's going to start at 2 because I have a speaking engagement later. It's a mediumship talk. This Saturday's class is honing your magical psychic skills. So if you want to sign up for that class, it's $50. It's going to be from 2 to 3:30 Eastern Standard Time this Saturday. And then I've got 2 more Saturdays that we're going to doing classes. One's on mediumship, and then the last one is the magic of Halloween, tapping into the magic of Halloween. So if you want to sign up, go to my website, and you have to type in the .com part, psychicannetteDion.com. I'm getting it together. You can sign up there and pay there. I think you can pay there. And you can always email me at nettedion7@gmail.com if you have anything to say. If you have something nice to say. Dr. Wayne Dyer used to, he used to do all this public speaking, and one time he was telling a story, and he was like, when people call my phone, maybe I'll channel Dr. Wayne Dyer. Maybe I will, because I'm talking about him. So Wayne Dyer would say that he had an answering machine. During those days, people had answering machines, and he had a message on his answering machine that said, "Hello, you have reached Dr. Wayne Dyer here, and I want to feel good. So if your message is designed to do anything but make me feel good, you've gotten the wrong number. Call Dr. Phil." So, I always thought that was pretty funny. All my psychic readings are 1 hour. They include tarot, clairvoyant, channeling, mediumship, all that, past lives. It's $150 for 1 hour, and you also can book on my website. It's the first time I've been able to send people there because it works now. psychicannetteDion.com. You have to type in the .com. All right, that was my commercial break. And we are going to go to, who did I just promise to channel? I got off on a Wayne Dyer tangent. So, do I do international readings? Yeah, of course. Of course I do. I mean, nowadays, we're all, we're all one world, right? We're all connected. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks again to the wrench wielders. Who was I just going to channel? When the time is right, you'll get a reading. The class is $50. Edgar Casey. I did channel Edgar Casey. I channeled the Addams Family. Warren! I did channel Edgar Casey back in July, and I got, Edgar Casey, no, was it? Oh, no, I don't think I channeled Edgar Casey. I was thinking of Ernest Holmes. Anyway, while I'm on the topic, Ernest Holmes, thank you, Abigail. She said her reading was amazing. Ernest Holmes wrote The Science of Mind, and Ernest Holmes, when I channeled him, because I read from Science of Mind all the time at my Church of Spirituality here on YouTube. And Ernest Holmes said, watch California, because as California goes, the rest of the world is going. Somebody's really insistent on Winston Churchill. We'll see, but I just want to do American people tonight. We'll see. And also, I go with, if I feel somebody's right there, if I kind of feel like, oh yeah, that one should be next. So, you guys are so sweet. I feel like there's a woman we need to channel. Yeah, thank you for all the likes. Much appreciated. Warren, it's not too soon to get another reading. You can get a reading a week if you want. Oh, Queen Elizabeth one day. Wow, I love look at all the beautiful endorsements. Much appreciate. Who was I going to next? FDR. Let's talk to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oh, I'm getting the sense FDR is like, whoa. You guys are going through the same thing I went through. He's helping Joe Biden. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is helping Joe Biden. And now he's pointing immediately to Eleanor. And he's saying, FDR is saying, don't listen to me, listen to Eleanor. So I guess I have to go to Eleanor. Eleanor Roosevelt has given me the sense of being almost like a teacher, like a school teacher. She's like, now I need to school you women. Okay. She's really wanting to tell us what to do. What is it, Eleanor? I channeled her before, and she's reminded me that when I channeled her before, she was adamant about us recognizing how many opportunities that we have as women that she never had. And the same was the case for Martha Washington. Long before, but still. And all women. But Eleanor Roosevelt has given me the sense, but the men will listen to the women now. We're just talking in general terms. The men will listen to the women now, and that is good. And we must use that. Use them as your megaphone at times when needed. That's what she had to do. It's not sexist, it's not chauvinist. It's just that that's the kind of country we live in. She's saying, look, we haven't had a female president. And so the women still have to, in some situations, get a man to say what needs to be said. I know it's swallowing your pride, but you just have to do what works sometimes. It's not all the time. And Eleanor Roosevelt is pointing to Carrie Lake and saying, what is that? Interesting. She's never seen anything like it. She's actually she's pointing to Carrie Lake and saying, it's like she's just a shell of a person. Don't they see it? And there are others like that. She's pointing to the women in positions of leadership that are not leaders, that are bad people. They're just shells. There's no substance. They're just like shells. There's nothing in there. Eleanor Roosevelt is just showing me how just crazy that is. What anomalies they are. How unusual that is. She's saying we didn't have it all right, but we didn't have that. Those women need to be put in their place. The Carrie Lakes, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, and the Lauren Boeberts. They need to be cut down. We can't have that toxicity, she's saying. That will destroy America. She's not saying it will be destroyed, But to not speak to that is like giving it a pass, like giving racism a pass. That's Eleanor Roosevelt is really working hard from the other side. She'll help the women leaders if they ask for her help. And she's saying that includes you in that. Okay. Grassroots of democracy. Eleanor, what can we do? Eleanor Roosevelt has given me the sense of the written word, that we have to write it down. We have to write it down. People don't write things down enough. Write down your thoughts. Get your thoughts to be clear before you talk about it. Write down your thought. Eleanor Roosevelt has given me the sense, if we write down our thoughts, it'll help us to talk to our fellow Americans. Write it down first. Write it down first. We're missing out on a lot because we're not clear with our thinking. And if we write down what we're going to say to our neighbors about voting, about saving our democracy, key points, bullet points, it will make a big difference. And it'll make us feel clearer about where we stand. It's so important. She's saying people have not recognized the importance and the empowerment that happens when you write down your thoughts before you speak. Write it down with pen and paper before you speak. She's really adamant about that. Like, think before you speak. Think before you speak. It's the strongest message I've gotten tonight. Write it down. Think before you speak. That's why she's pointing to these women that are just, she's calling them something like jesters, like jokers. And she will help stop them if we do the work. And thank you for your activism, she's saying. It makes a difference. Thank you, Eleanor Roosevelt. Let's do 2 more. What do you think? What do you say? A couple more? 2, 3 more? Thank you for all these wonderful compliments about my readings. I don't know if we have it set up yet to join Grassroots of Democracy on the website, but we will in a couple of days. But if you want to join Grassroots of Democracy, send me an email, AnnetteDion7@gmail.com. It'll just be a matter of a day or 2. I just have to find out if we have it set up yet. Thank you for all the thumbs up. They're about equal with the amount of people that are here. That means a lot. Okay, so Rio, welcome. I already did Coretta Scott King. Where were you? You'll have to go back and do the replay. I was really struck by Eleanor Roosevelt, Channel Lucille Ball. Maybe. I'm kind of focused on democracy. I know she had her challenges. That movie is really good with Nicole Kidman playing. She's such an incredible actress. Playing Lucille Ball. Anyway, I was really struck by Eleanor Roosevelt just totally, really on it about write down what you're going to say. Think before you speak. She seemed really like mortified, excuse the pun. Eleanor Roosevelt felt really like just incensed by the fact that people are just talking right off, like not even thinking about what they're saying. It's unbelievable. Yeah, thanks. Eleanor Roosevelt was the strongest one tonight, and we got some strong channels going, some strong messages. Betty Ford feels right. So don't be offended if I'm not taking your suggestion on who to channel. The way I'm doing it is like, if it's up there, I do a little check-in to just to see if it resonates. And Betty Ford does. I don't think I'm going to do Ivana tonight. Well, you know, one common denominator in these people that I'm channeling, I get this really strongly too. If we want them to help, They're always helping. If we want to amp up the help that they're giving us, we have to just be active, be doing it, and then they can help us. Just commit. Just commit. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you notice that too. That's a big... She was so emphatic. I really feel like she was pointing to that. That's a huge, that's a bigger problem. That's a bigger problem than we're recognizing. It seems like a simple thing, but it's a big deal. People aren't gathering their thoughts before they speak them. That nobody did that back in Eleanor Roosevelt's day. They would sit down and think for half a day about things, you know, before they said them. Okay. Betty Ford. We're gonna go talk to Betty Ford. Gerald Ford's wife. So the first thing I get about Betty Ford is how irritated she would get at Gerald. She's saying, we had a lot of spats. And Betty Ford is showing me that a lot of her drinking was, she didn't like having to suppress herself. She really didn't like having to just not say what she wanted to say. She hated that the men were louder. And she was so bored. Betty Ford is just showing me she was so bored because she wanted to do so much. And people kept saying, oh no, you have to stay in your place. You're just the first lady. And that drove her crazy. But Betty Ford is giving me the sense. But I really liked dressing up. She liked the socializing a lot. That was her favorite part. But she was relieved when her husband didn't get elected. I'm asking Betty Ford about what kind of work she's doing now. She's actually telling me that she's working on making sure her rehabilitation centers stay open. I don't know how many she has, but I get a sense that there's more than one. The Betty Ford Center, the rehabilitation, recovery. She's proud of the people that have made a difference there and the people that are in recovery. But Betty Ford is really pointing to the need for funding for recovery and rehabilitation. There's not enough money going in that direction. Support recovery programs, support rehabilitation. She's saying we can't ignore it. Once again, I'm being pointed to, we can't ignore the people that have brilliant minds that are just being cast aside. The things that are truly of value are being cast aside, which is causing people to go to drugs and drinking. No talent should be cast aside. That is the biggest sin there is. We have to keep our liberties. We have to keep our rights. And we especially have to keep our right to expression, because when it's suppressed, people go to substances. And that's what happened to her. And she really felt like she could have died from alcoholism, but she was saved by grace. She's given me the song Amazing Grace. She was saved by grace. Because she was a bad alcoholic. But it was triggered. It was already there, but it was triggered by that being suppressed as a woman. And then she's just saying in really big letters, like, don't let that happen. Like, don't let yourselves be suppressed. The time for that is over. Betty Ford is pointing to the younger generation of women, 20-somethings, as they will be the ones. They need us to support them. They have the fire in their bellies, these young women. They need us to help them. And she's reminding me that in one of my sessions, I was given the message that as a woman of America rise up, the women in Iran will also rise up and succeed. So we are having a ripple effect on the rest of the world with our standing up for women's rights. It's sad what is happening, but this is what we go through when things are changing. And she's pointing to Richard Nixon. As we had to strengthen some laws after that, this is what we have to go through to make changes occur. I'm really getting, she hates Donald Trump. Oh, Betty Ford. We never should have had that, she's saying. We never should have had that. So you all stop your drinking and get to work. She's laughing. Thank you, Betty. What a pretty lady. What a pretty lady. Yeah. What are you all doing? Let's do 2 more. How's that sound? Which will bring us to 2 solid hours. I'm surprised. I'm surprising myself that I've covered this many people. Do I offer gift certificates? I do offer gift certificates, but let me just say about that. The only problem with gift certificates is that you have to really make sure that the person, it's better if they've asked for that, because you don't want to give somebody a gift certificate for a reading if they're not ready or if they don't really want it. Okay. The last governor of Texas, Ann Richards. So, oh, thank you. 2 more. How's that sound? 2 more? Susan B. Anthony was the first one that I did. So some people are coming on late. And thank you, Lisa. You're going beyond the Call of Duty. I appreciate it. Putting up my website and putting up my email address. Ann Richards Nerds to help Beta. Oh, okay. We'll go to Ann Richards. I didn't know a lot about her. Happy Jack-o'-lanterns. Sorry, I had to have a cough drop because I was having a scratchy throat. Activating my throat chakra. 2 more. We'll do 2 more. So Ann Richards, was she the governor of Texas? See, I'm in Massachusetts. I just don't remember. Was she a governor? I think she was. I've lost my glasses. Was she a governor? Oh, I dropped them. Ann Richards of Texas? I don't know. When did she die? She was the governor. Okay. All right. Let's go and see what Ann Richards has. When did she die? Wasn't terribly long ago, right? Oh, okay. So in the 90s, and are you sure it wasn't the 80s, or am I not seeing that? She died in 2006. Okay. Her daughter was head of Planned Parenthood. I bet she has something to say, because that did resonate. Like, yeah, that seems like a good person to tune into. Let's talk to Ann Richards, who was the governor of Texas in the 90s. She's on fire. I feel she's on fire. She does not like Abbott. That is for sure. I feel like Ann Richards is on the other side with a mission to kick. She's giving me the sense of just kicking Governor Abbott out of the way, and she doesn't even care that he's in a wheelchair. She's that angry. I mean, they're not really angry from the other side, but she's just showing me the injustices, the injustices. And Ann Richards, the past governor of Texas, is showing me that man is, she's really going on about Governor Abbott. He, almost like, Ann Richards is giving me the sense that that man is not a governor, that man is a criminal. He's not a governor. Abbott is a criminal. He's not a governor. He's a criminal. There's a difference. That's what she's saying. And so Ann Richards is showing me that there's like this underlying like slime connected to Abbott, connected to law enforcement for some reason. I'm picking up Abbott and law enforcement for entertainment purposes only. Is tied in with law enforcement, and it's like, she's showing me like an image of like snakes on the ground that are just looking to bite Beto. That's Abbott. I think she's showing me the demonic, energy there. So what can we do, Ann Richards, for Beto? Beto needs to not wear himself out. He's doing good, but Ann Richards is helping Beto and wants to get him to take better care of himself in terms of being able to get more rest. Because he's passionate, but it's like he's a fire sign or something. I don't know what sign he is, but he can burn out sometimes. Because it's like he's making up for Abbott, as best he can. She's giving me a sense that Beto will win. I do feel like he'll win. She's like, I'm going to help him win. She's giving me a sense that Beto will win. And for some reason, she's showing me Abbott physically weakened. Almost like he gets COVID or something. Or maybe, I think he had COVID. She's giving me a sense that Abbott is going to get physically not well. And I'm getting a feeling it might be long COVID. Connected to that somehow. Ann Richards is showing me that Abbott had COVID and it's gonna affect his brain. I don't know. That's just what she's showing me. But she's showing me that Beto will win, and she's showing me that she's helping the children of Texas as best she can, but she needs humans to help. So if you're in Texas, Ann Richards needs you on the ground, boots on the ground, to help Texas. And she's just like, yeah, we could talk about Cruz, but that's a whole nother, that would take too long. Okay, let's do one more. What do you say? Thank you all for being here. Well, you know what, Jackie, that would be more a PNN, Psychic News Network, and just so you know, oh, Laura, we're sending you light. She was in the hurricane. You just got power? Good. We're really happy for you. We're sending you love and light too. So Jackie Lynn is saying, ask Ann Richards if Texas governor told the police to stand back and stand by on Uvalde. I'm trying to remember what I said around the Uvalde thing, but I definitely, when I did a psychic reading on that really tragic situation, trying to remember, I got that they were told not to go in, and I got that they were so freaked out, understandably, the police, that it was an assault weapon. It was no match for them. It was like certain death. But I definitely saw that there was something nefarious going on with and I connected it to Governor Abbott. I connected it to Governor Abbott. We have a lot of work to do in this country. Last but not least, too. Going once, going twice. Let's see. I probably promised to channel someone and forgot who it is. Thank you. It's fascinating to me. It really is. It's fascinating to me. Yeah, Chuck has great quotes. Music is, we don't recognize enough how important music is. The gun lobby influenced Abbott, and Abbott also, after the shooting in Uvalde, he jumped on a plane and went to a fundraiser, and then went to the NRA convention. Please join us for Grassroots of Democracy. I'm looking for one more person to channel. I can't believe I'm having a hard time thinking of someone. JFK? Well, I was going to FDR and he sent me to Eleanor. Did you catch that? I tuned into Franklin Delano Roosevelt and he said a few things. I forget what he said. But then he pointed me straight to Eleanor. And now that I think of it, Eleanor was the loudest person tonight. Eleanor was the loudest speaker that I channeled tonight. She's like, people need to think before they talk. Colin Powell, maybe. Let's see. Kim Jong-un. The reason somebody's saying Kim Jong-un is, I think he died in, that's not him, it's somebody else who looks like him. Maya Angelou, it's a toss-up. It's now a toss-up between Maya Angelou and I'll do it again. Rosa Parks, I think I channeled her before. I channeled Harriet Tubman before in a July video. I did channel Rosa Parks in a July video. Okay, it's between JFK and Maya Angelou. Well, you gotta tell me what it was. I have to go look for it. Somebody wants me to do CM's suggestion. Oh, Barbara, hi. You're not being a wallflower. Very good. Yeah, somebody said do CM's suggestion and I can't find it. Yeah, I'm getting a yes on Maya. I did JFK in the past. Maya Angelou. Maya wins. Let's talk to Maya Angelou. We'll do another channeling. Can't do everybody, right? Okay, so let's talk to Maya Angelou. It's the second poet that we've spoken to tonight because we had Emily Dickinson earlier. So she's kind of nodding like, well, that's good, that's good. We have to talk to the poets. We have to talk to the artists. Oh, Maya Angelou is talking about the artists. We have to bring back the artists. The artists count. Art counts. Art matters. Art matters. She's saying, Maya Angelou is saying art matters. When people can't express, it makes them crazy. Maya Angelou is saying when people can't express, it makes them crazy. What do you mean by crazy, Maya? It backs up. It creates a block. It blocks the love. Maya Angelou is saying when people can't do art, when they can't express their art, it blocks the love. And it causes a kind of a psychosis, kind of, wow, it's pretty deep. What can we do? Follow the children. Maya Angelou is saying follow the children. Notice the light in their eyes. Follow the children. Talk to the children. Don't block your art. Don't block your creativity. Don't block your expression. We all have expression. We all must express. If we don't express our feelings, it creates a psychotic state. And she's pointing to that's what's happening to this country. We are not stopping to express kindly. We must stop, we must pause and express kindly. Create a space for love to exist, and love will exist. It needs more space. Counter the negativity with expressions of love. Express positive feelings to the children and to everyone. Express positive loving feelings to the child in each and every person. We are all children. We are all children of God. See the child in each person you encounter. The world will be a kinder place. Don't forget. The things that seem small are the biggest things. Smile at everyone. It's infectious. All is well. Smile at everyone. It's infectious. Spread the love. I love ending on that note. That's awesome. It's been awesomely fun. Women want to talk tonight. Women do, yeah, real important messages. It's time for us to shine our bright lights. I hope that you're inspired. Abba is bought and paid for. A lot of people are bought and paid for, but love is the answer. It was beautiful to have you all here. Yes. You smile under your mask? Yeah, well, you know, you can tell, you can feel a smile. Yeah, you can feel a smile. You can feel, I mean, on the phone. I used to, a long, long time ago, I had a telemarketing job. Long time ago when I moved to Nashville. And I just remember that people could feel the smile on the phone. People could feel the smile on the phone. You can feel somebody smiling. Think about it, you can. Wonderful, wonderful bunch of viewers tonight. Honestly, the poetry was really strong tonight. What John Lennon was saying, it was music unites. You know, really a lot of messages about finding our humanity through our self-expression. And don't forget Eleanor Roosevelt. Think before you speak. Yeah. So, Ruth Bader Ginsburg I did the other night, last Wednesday, when my Wi-Fi went down. Thank goodness it didn't go down tonight. And you guys are the best. Takes one to know one, right? Tomorrow we have our Grassroots of Democracy meeting. You can send an email to me, AnnetteDion7@gmail.com. Please join us. We do a lot of good work to save our democracy, and it's fun. We're all friends, and we all enjoy the meetings. Okay. That's great. We're good. See you soon. Namaste. Love one another. Makes a difference always. Bye. Thanks for your love. Bye.